curses, remember, curses, even though they are made, does not necessarily mean or automatically mean that they will have an effect, because God may not allow it. So it will not immediately have an effect. Otherwise, if that were the case, that any curse sent will always have its automatic effect, whether you are in the state of grace or not, then it means that all of us are affected by the curse, which is not the case, because it is always God who is in control. So nothing happens, nothing. The evil one cannot do anything unless God permits it to happen. So that is our first principle. That is our first understanding. Now, if indeed it will have an effect on a person, it only means that the person is already predisposed to be affected. In other words, think of it as a sickness. We are surrounded by bacteria, by virus all over the place. But it doesn't mean that we are affected by it, simply because perhaps our immune system is very strong. And therefore, we are not affected immediately by this kind of this contagion. But if our immune system goes down, we become compromised, then we are weak, and so the virus and the bacteria can attack us. And the only way to prevent that is through medication and to strengthen our immune system once more. It's the same thing with these curses. If ever it has an effect on a person, it is because the person is already weak or predisposed to it. So when you said, in this case of your uncle, affected by it, if the curse had an effect on him, it means that he was already predisposed to it one way or the other. In other words, his protection as a Christian and as a Catholic has been weakened by something, by something. And you can say, what would be that something? It can be his moral life, his moral life. It can be his, his psychological makeup, meaning perhaps he has trauma, he has anger, he has resentment, he has unforgiveness, or he has exposures and practices that are not pleasing to God and are cultic in nature, meaning, let's say, superstitious practices, superstitious beliefs, or going to occult practitioners, or wearing talismans, etc. So those are contrary to God's will, contrary to God's law, thereby making the person vulnerable to extraordinary attacks of the evil spirit. So when you ask that, what can he do? The first question is, ask why he would be affected by the curse. Why would he be affected by it? So if one finds that there is the vulnerability in any of the what we call spiritual openings, the spiritual openings of mortal sin, habitual mortal sin, or a sinful lifestyle, a sinful life, unrepented sinful life, that's the first one, or deep emotional negativity because of a trauma, leading to strong negative emotions like hatred, anger, resentment, lust, envy, jealousy, bitterness, greediness. Those are very deep, strong emotions, making a person act often contrary to God's will and God's law. And then the other one is an idolatrous practice connected with superstitious beliefs, and also to talking to spirits. So if there is in the family, direct line in the family, sorcerers or healers or occult practitioners, that may have an effect on the person, especially when if the person when he was growing up, he was exposed to certain practices that are occult or idolatrous in nature, then that makes the person vulnerable. So that when a curse is sent, the curse will have an effect because the person is already vulnerable to it. So the way to overcome that is know the cause of the opening, and close those openings. If it's sin, honest to goodness confession, really detailed confession. And of course, a renewal of life. One needs to live really a life of grace, sacraments, real prayers, devotedness. And if one has deep emotional issues, then one may need a psychologist or a counselor to iron out those issues, to allow forgiveness, to allow the person to love again, to allow the person to heal the inner woundedness. And if one also has occult practices, to renounce occult practices, to destroy occult objects, and to confess those idolatrous and superstitious beliefs and practices. And if one has ever talked to spirits, meaning the person consulted spirits, etc., even though perhaps when he was young or still a child, those have effects. So that too needs to be renounced. The relationship between the person and the spirits have to be cut, renounced, confessed, so that grace can build on the person. So once grace is being built up, then you become stronger and are able to resist the effect of the curse. And then if you find the cursed object, like what you said, then you destroy the cursed object. You destroy the cursed object, and with a prayer, not just destroy it, but there are special prayers for disposing of cursed objects, so that the person may be protected from it. So that is the basic, that's the basic fundamental uh, remedy when it comes to curses. Now, if there's already an effect on the person, you can also go for deliverance prayers or exorcism prayers to priests, to Catholic priests who know how to do these things. Because not all Catholic priests know how to do deliverance ministry prayers, and not all are exorcists as well. So it may be necessary to approach a priest that knows how to deal with this kind of cases.